You smell that?
Nature's most powerful aphrodisiac.
Leaving right after this drink. Rock and roll, whiskey, and other stories. With your host, Brian Shaw.
Cheers. Ah, man. Nothing like a glass of Jack Daniels after a long day. Hell, after a short day. Who the fuck am I kidding? It's always a good time for Jack Daniels. Welcome to episode 11. I'm leaving right after this drink, rock and roll, whiskey, and other stories. Tonight, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about Aerosmith and the time I was fortunate and lucky enough to meet the bad boys from Boston. I absolutely love this band. They are the greatest American rock and roll band, without a doubt, in my opinion. Figure I need to throw that in there so everybody doesn't comment and go, nope, not that band, this band. So no, in my opinion, Aerosmith is the greatest rock and roll band. Of course, Aerosmith, the big talk for this past week or so, because they're announcing their retirement and retirement from touring because of Steven's vocals and whatnot. But I got to tell you, man, I am super stoked that they're calling it quits, only because I would hate for them to go on the road and then people are like, oh, dude, they suck, or they sound terrible, his voice is shot, like whatever that is, or oh, he's tracked, he's this, he's that. Doesn't matter. They got to go out. They got to go out on top. They may not have got to go out on the terms as far as doing a whole nother tour, but they're still going out as America's greatest rock and roll band. And I can certainly respect that. Over 50 years as a career, that's pretty fucking awesome. Ups and downs, drugs, rehab, the whole thing, and still managed to put out fucking amazing music from the beginning of their career until, who knows, are we going to see new Aerosmith even though they stopped touring? It's hard to say. But every record has always been pretty kick-ass. Of course, there's a few in there in the later days that are, but for the most part, Aerosmith, the kick-ass rock and roll band. Steven Tyler, all these guys in their mid-70s, it's okay to bow out at this point in time. So now I'm going to take you back to 1996. I'd just gotten into radio and I was working for 92.9 WMFS in Memphis, Tennessee. And I was hanging out with a guy's brother who trained me at the radio station. And me and his brother just ended up hitting it off. And me and him used to go out and stir up trouble and hit the titty joints and all kinds of crazy shit back in the day in Memphis. And I can't remember, one night we were just hanging out. We were bullshitting, talking about different rock bands and things like that. And I feel like he had told me that he was dating a girl or had dated a girl who John Kalodner had a crush on or something crazy. John Kalodner, the guy with the beard and all the Aerosmith videos. And I can remember him having like a bunch of Aerosmith memorabilia because of her or something crazy. I can't remember. I'm sure that he will tell me whether I'm on point or not as far as that goes. But anyhow, so he had that. I can remember seeing like the storyboard for the Aerosmith Crazy video. It was wild, man. So lots of cool shit. But I can remember him telling me as we were hanging out, he says, if you ever get a chance to meet Aerosmith, this is how it's going to go down. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, me meeting Aerosmith? Are you fucking kidding? That would be amazing. Like, it's like one of my all-time favorite rock bands. Are you like, that would fucking just be the ultimate thing for me at that point. And I was so green to the business that I really didn't realize, like, holy shit, like, there's probably a good chance I'm going to meet Aerosmith. And so he tells me, he says, listen, here's what's going to happen. They're going to come backstage or whatever, and there's going to be a mob of people that are going to go for Joe Perry and Steven Tyler. But just hang back, because what's going to happen is that crowd's going to go over those two, and the other three guys are going to be just off to the side. So Brad Whitford, Joey Kramer, and Tom Hamilton are just going to be like hanging out like, we're used to it. Those are the guys, and those are the main guys everybody thinks of. And I'm still thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But again, what are the odds that I'm ever going to fucking meet Aerosmith? Well, guess what? Fast forward 1 year later, and I'm in Roanoke, Virginia. I'm working for 96.3 WROV, a radio station that you've heard me talk about in the past. I'm sure you will hear many more stories about this radio station that I worked for as these podcasts go on. But we were playing the 9 Lives record. It had just came out in, I think, 97. And now we're in the summer of 97. My Columbia Records rep knows that I love Aerosmith. And so she invites me up to go see them in Richmond, Virginia. Because at the time, really, nobody really toured through like Roanoke and shit at the time. And so she invited me to come up to Richmond, which was only a few hours away, a couple hour drive, whatever. And so I took a girlfriend of mine and we go, to the show, and, we're super excited. We're going to fucking meet Aerosmith and shit. I mean, it was like, holy crap. I don't even think I could contain my excitement as we're driving and stuff. And at the same time, I don't even think that the whole concept had kind of hit me yet about, man, I'm going to meet fucking Aerosmith. Are you kidding me? Like, this is amazing. So anyhow, we get to the venue. It happens to be the radio station in Richmond's, it happens to be like their birthday or something like that. So of course, Aerosmith is doing a big backstage party and stuff like that with them. So there's probably 75 or 100 people backstage. I mean, it was madness. And I couldn't even believe there was that many people backstage, to see these guys, because I just didn't think at the time, like, holy shit, they allow that many people backstage. But they did. And so we're all just kind of hanging out. We're waiting for the band to show up. And me and my girlfriend just kind of talking and hanging out. And then here comes the limousine. Limousine pulls up, fucking white limo. And I'm literally like, oh my God, hold on a second. As the doors start to open, the crowd literally starts to rush that limousine. I look at my girlfriend and say, hey, hang on. My friend Matt told me just to wait. Like, for some reason, this story clicks in my head at this point, and we just hung back. And everybody literally rushes that car. And a couple minutes later, we're just kind of hanging out. And sure enough, I happen to look to my right, and there's Brad Whitford, Tom Hamilton, and Joey Kramer. And they're all just like, they're all kind of standing there with their arms crossed, like just kind of waiting for people to talk to them. So I get her, I'm like, hey, let's go. It's our chance, right? So we walk over to them. And at the time I had a shirt that was a caricature of myself. And I just found that to be easier to have people sign than to be carrying something backstage or whatever. It was just like, I didn't want to do that. So I get these guys to sign the shirt. We talk a little bit about the record. It's very quick. It's probably a couple of minutes between the three guys before other people start to realize, oh man, there's other guys in Aerosmith over here. We should go talk to them. So as more people start to come over, I get my shirt signed. She gets the poster she had signed. And as I look over my left shoulder, holy shit, there's Joe Perry. Somehow Joe Perry has made it from this mob of people to the back of the tent, and there's no one talking to him. He's like just this dude just standing there. And I'm like, holy shit, now's our chance. Let's go talk to Joe Perry. And I'm thinking, man, this is going to be awesome. Like, my favorite fucking rock band, like Joe Perry, one of my favorite guitar players, like easily in my top 10 favorite players. This is going to be awesome. And as I walk over, this is where my Beavis and Butthead moment happens. Now, you have to remember, or at least this is what I was thinking, Joe Perry and Aerosmith meet people like me and you every day. Every day, folks just love the band, we're fans, and we get a little starstruck when we meet them, right? Well, I think Joe Perry even seemed like a little bit out of it, like, hey guys. And this is literally how this conversation goes down. We walk over, we're standing there. I don't really know what to say. I extend my hand. He shakes my hand. At which point, he says, huh, sure is hot, ain't it? Awkward pause. And I said, yep, sure is. And then I say, how's it going? He's like, pretty good. I'm like, awesome. And in the back of my mind, all that's going through it is Beavis and Butthead. Hey, like seriously, I couldn't even figure it. I couldn't even believe that here is my chance for my one time with Joe Perry to go, and whatever, and have a cool conversation about guitars or something. No, not at all. We talk about the weather. I tell him the record's great. And how you doing? And, oh, hey, can you sign my t-shirt? So he signs the shirt, At which point I'm like, you got a pick? And he's like, hold on. And he digs in his pocket. Sure enough, hands me a guitar pick. A fucking Aerosmith Joe Perry guitar pick. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I put that thing in my pocket, and I'm not kidding. I just kind of made sure it was in my pocket. I'm like, man, I don't have any holes in this pocket, right? Like, I'm not going to lose this guitar pick. Like, this was like it, man. This felt like he had just handed me $1 million. Like, it was crazy. And I'm sure I still have that guitar pick somewhere in my collection of stuff. If I can find it, I'm certainly going to post it here in the podcast, but don't count on it because I'm not really sure if I still have it hidden somewhere. So anyhow, so I'm like, holy shit, like, this is crazy. And then, like, before I can say anything else, she's gotten her poster signed by him. We've had this weird conversation of nothing. And then here comes a whole bunch of people. Fuck. Now we're out, right? We've had our conversation of 30 seconds, 45 seconds. It did seem like forever because of the awkward pauses in our conversation. I'm not even kidding if I told you it went like this. How's it going? Pretty good. Like, sure is hot, ain't it? Yep. Like, super long, awkward pauses. I'm telling you, man, I cannot even begin to tell you how insane it was. So, of course, now it's time to move on, and we look back around, and Steven Tyler is still mobbed with a ton of fucking people. So I'm just like, whatever, man. I got a chance to get, 4 of the 5 guys to sign the shirt. That's pretty fucking awesome. We still get a chance for a photo, so that was cool. And so about that time, I don't know, 15, 30 minutes later, whatever passes. Now it's time for us to get like these group photos and stuff like that with the band. So everybody's in these mad groups of people I'm talking 10, 12 people. And then me, my girlfriend, and the woman who I believe was the East Coast, like, head of their fan club. We were the only 3 in this photo. And I was like, holy shit, man. Like, this is so awesome. Like, I get a fucking photo with Aerosmith and there's not 100 people in it. And it's actually people that I know. I mean, the girl from the fan club didn't really care, but it didn't matter. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. So we take the photo, and as we're walking away, the Columbia Records rep, she grabs me and she's like, hey, did you get to meet Steven yet? And I said, no, I sure didn't. And she's like, come back here. So she kind of drags me back and introduces me to Steven. And she's like, Steven, this is Brian Shaw. He's the music director at WROV in Roanoke, Virginia. And he came up here for the show. And, they're playing your new record. And I'm like, hey, man. And he's like, hey, man, thanks for playing our record. And I'm like, hey, like, again, another idiotic fucking starstruck, stupid fucking thing comes out of my mouth. Like, no problem. Like, what is going on? And I'm thinking, this is unfucking believable, man. Like, literally, these are my conversations with, like, the ultimate fucking rock stars. And then she's like, did he get to sign your shirt? And I said, no. And she's like, get over here. So I go back, and she fucking, gets him a Sharpie, and he signs my shirt. We shake hands again, and that was it. And we were off. And then it was time for the show. Johnny Lang opens up the show. I mean, it was fucking awesome. It was the first time I'd ever seen Johnny Lang. Johnny Lang kicked ass. And the whole night, though, I kept feeling in my pocket, did I lose that pick? Is the pick still there? And it was like the coolest thing in the world was that Joe Perry handed me a fucking guitar pick. And anyhow, it turned out to be an awesome fucking show, as always, per every Aerosmith show that I ever went to. And it was just a lot of fun. It was literally that moment of meeting pure rock and roll fucking gods. And I'm like, how's it going? Like, what the fuck? I still laugh about it. It still cracks me up to even think that that's the conversation that I had with America's greatest rock and roll band. And of all the things I could have talked about, I totally fucking bombed it. But I got an awesome photo out of it, and I got a great story and a great memory. And at the end of the day, man, that's what matters. And so hope you guys enjoyed this story about Aerosmith. And if you guys have an Aerosmith story you'd like to share, feel free to leave that in the comments. As always, I appreciate every one of you guys listening and tuning in and leaving your feedback and sending me emails and all kinds of crazy shit. So I do appreciate it. Thank you guys. And until next episode, cheers. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. You dig?
God bless the internet.